So earlier today we got a massive UFC and Dana White announcement which involved a bunch of different fights and events, but I feel like UFC 300 was the biggest part of that announcement. Before I do get started talking about UFC 300, I did want to address one pretty big thing. I am away from home at the moment. It is Christmas time. I'm over visiting family for Christmas, so I've got a pretty basic setup here. I've just got my laptop, but I did bring my microphone with me and my studio interface that I do have that powers my microphone. So yeah, I'm just kind of holding my mic. I do apologize if that comes with some audio difficulties. I've never held a microphone in a YouTube video. I've always had some sort of stand for my mic, so I think this is better than using my laptop's inbuilt camera, but I do really apologize if there are some sort of audio difficulties, audio problems. There's not too much I can do about it. This is just a very temporary setup while I'm away visiting family. But as I said, UFC 300 has been announced. It's going to be in Las Vegas, April the 13th, 2024, in the T-Mobile Arena. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm very excited. There are 3 fights announced to start off the card. I'll give my opinion on all 3 of those fights, especially Bo Nickal taking on Cody Brundage, because in my opinion, I feel like at this point, Bo Nickal could be taking on a better opponent. Like, when I was thinking of Bo Nickal's next opponent, I was thinking like a Abus Magomedov. You know, I feel like Abus Magomedov would be a test for Bo Nickal. I understand a lot of people think he's not the best or whatever, but Abus Magomedov is still a talented fighter, and he still would be a challenging opponent for Bo Nickal. He literally fought Sean Strickland at one point. You know, that's how high the UFC rated him. But now we've got Cody Brundage versus Bo Nickal, and when Dana White said that there were going to be so many great fights on this card, we're going to look at the first fight of the night and think, how is that the first fight of the night? When you build expectations up like that, I'm expecting better fights than Nickal versus Brundage. But let's get there later. Let's talk about Procházka versus Rakic. It says that this is on the main card. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If UFC 300 is going to be as good as Dana White is hyping it up to be, this might be the featured prelim. I'm just going to say it. But I've lowered my expectations dramatically after the Nickal announcement, I'm going to be honest. But anyway, I thought 300 was going to be a lot bigger than what it probably is going to be, but that's okay. I just got a bit of a reality check with that Nickal announcement, I guess. So we've got Jiří Procházka taking on Aleksandar Rakic. This is potentially a prelim, potentially on the main card. Massive fight though. Number 1 contender fight for both guys, maybe. You probably could argue that Jiří Procházka could get a rematch or get another title shot with a win over Rakic. And for Rakic, you could argue that he gets the title shot next as well, especially if Magomed Ankalaev was to lose against Johnny Walker. So there's a lot that could go on with this matchup, but I do want to say, very happy to see Jiří get back in there ASAP. Now, he did get TKO'd. Didn't get KO'd badly, but he got TKO'd. He said that he went out as well. That was only 5 weeks ago at the time of the announcement, but this fight is like 4 months away. But this is a good card to be on, of course. I mean, Jiří and Aleksandar Rakic were probably buzzing to be on UFC 300. I'm hyped for this fight. I like it a lot. Rakic has been the number 1 contender, or a number 1 contender at 205 pounds for a very, very long time. Sorry, my dog is just going nuts, and I'm recording at midnight right now, so that freaked me out. And Jiří is obviously a former champion, a very successful one at that. I'm going to go with Jiří to beat Rakic. I think that his awkward style is going to be kind of good enough to beat Rakic. I mean, especially the fact that Rakic is coming off an injury, a pretty bad one. He hasn't fought for 18 months as well. He's going to be in there, and his return fight is against the awkward Jiří Procházka. I think it's a bad return fight. I do respect Rakic, I do respect Jiří. This is a number 1 contender fight, even though both guys are coming off losses. This is a good one, especially at this weight class, light heavyweight. Very, very exciting fighters. Very, very exciting fight. Will finish inside the distance. Now you've got Calvin Kattar taking on Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling is moving up a weight class to featherweight to take on Calvin Kattar. Obviously, Aljo is the former bantamweight champion. Calvin Kattar is a featherweight contender and has been in some pretty big fights. Stylistically, though, I think it's a good matchup for Aljamain Sterling. I mean, Calvin Kattar is a striker. We haven't really seen him just out-wrestled completely before. We have seen him offensively wrestle to success before as well. But I do think that we're going to see Aljamain Sterling go out there, put the wrestling shoes on, use his awkward style to close the gap to put the wrestling going and get the grappling going, and I do think he can out-grapple Calvin Kattar. I think this is a good opportunity for Aljo to go out there, test his skills at 145 pounds, and just kind of test the waters. And if he can dominate Kattar, maybe you can put him in a very good position to fight Max Holloway, to maybe fight for the title, especially if Volk is holding on to the title. I think you could sell a Sterling versus Volk fight with Sterling coming off a win over Calvin Kattar. So I think there's a lot to kind of go on with this matchup for Kattar. It's an opportunity for him to get back in the mix, beat a former champion, beat a guy that would give him a big opportunity in his next fight, maybe a Josh Emmett rematch, but this is a few months away, so Emmett's probably got a fight booked by then. But you guys kind of understand what I'm trying to say there, but I do think Sterling go out there and out-grapples Calvin Kattar in this matchup, and I actually do think we're going to see a Sterling submission. I do think that Sterling can finish this fight, so I'm giving me Sterling to win by submission at the moment. And now the fight that got me going all crazy in the intro, Bo Nickal taking on Cody Brundage. Dana White was hyping up UFC 300 like it was going to be the most unbelievable event of all time. And then he announces this in the first announcement. What I mean is, when you are announcing the event and you are announcing the first fight, you want them to be the big fights. You want them to be the big fights that people are excited for, not the first fight of the night. And speaking of the first fight of the night, Dana White said, we're going to look at the first fight of the night and we're going to think, how was that the first fight of the night? If this was the first fight of the night on a pay-per-view, I wouldn't really blink too many eyes. Now, to be fair, I'm not from the USA and I didn't wrestle in high school, so I probably don't really get a massive hard-on when it comes to Bo Nickal, but I do see him as a very, very talented prospect. And I think if you were to put him on this card, which I think you should, absolutely put Bo Nickal on this card because you want to build up his name, just give him a better opponent, man. He's already beaten this level of competition. No disrespect to Cody Brundage, man. I know that sounds so disrespectful to him, but give Bo Nickal a Boost Magomedov. I mean, what's going on? You know, like maybe the Caio Brauljos of the world. Bo Nickal versus Ikram Maliskarov could even do. I mean, they've got so many talented guys. Maybe even Bo Nickal taking on Sharaputdin Magomedov. Bo Nickal taking on the guy that Sharaputdin Magomedov beat, Bruno Silva, who went 3 rounds with Alex Bahia. Like, what's going on, man? No disrespect to Cody Brundage, but this is UFC 300, and this is Bo Nickal. Why is Bo Nickal being given these matchups when you've got guys like Abus Magomedov, who beat Dustin Stoltzfus in 19 seconds, and then all of a sudden fought a top 10 guy in Sean Strickland, when we've got a guy in Bo Nickal who clearly probably does have the ability to be a top 15 middleweight right now. Why don't you give him a top 25 middleweight? You know, what's going on? Like, why? Why? I mean, Cody Brundage is a good fighter. He just beat Zach Reese. Fantastic win. Slam KO. You don't see them every day. For some reason, we saw 2 of them on that day. But Brundage is a good fighter, and Brundage honestly could give Bo Nickal some problems. I'm not even joking when I do say that, because I do believe Cody Brundage has underrated striking, and he does have a college wrestling background. Now, will that wrestling be good enough to defend Bo Nickal's takedowns? Probably not, but we did see Jamie Pickett give it a good go. You know, Jamie Pickett was doing well to defend the takedown that Bo Nickal was trying to get him on, so who knows, man. And we know that Bo Nickal does have power on the feet, but we haven't seen him strike all that much. Like, yes, he dominated Valentine Woodburn, but that's Val Woodburn, and I watched tape for that fight. I probably could have gotten away with not, I'm going to be honest, but it is what it is. Cody Brundage, yeah, I think Bo Nickal deserves a higher ranked opponent. I know he's only 5-0, but we could get away with a Bo Nickal versus Bruno Silva matchup, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's UFC 300. I expected more. I wanted more. I feel like the fans deserve more. When you hype up UFC 300 to be what it's going to be, hopefully what it's going to be, and you've got Bo Nickal versus Cody Brundage, I mean, this is what I imagined. I imagined something a lot bigger. I'll say that much. But hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.